Hey everyone, this is our video on amino acids and proteins. So, a protein is a macromolecule, which is just a really, really large molecule formed from smaller repeating units that are also molecules. And so, those smaller molecules here are called amino acids, right? And so, here's an example of an amino acid right here. They are carbon based, right? Just like everything in organic chemistry. And so, you can see there's some general structure here. We have a central carbon right here, and I'm going to use my pen. So we have our central carbon right here. We have a hydrogen. We have an amino group, which is this right here, this NH2 group. And then we have this OCOH group here. Okay. And then here, that's called a carboxyl group, by the way. And then here we have this R group, and R is just a functional group, right? It can be a hydrogen, it can be another carboxyl group, it could be anything, right? Anything that exists in organic chemistry can go here, right? And that is what makes up these different amino acids is different compounds or different chains of compounds filling in that R position there. Okay. And so those things will bond together over and over and over again in chains to form proteins. So again, your amino acid has a central carbon with a hydrogen, an amino group, a carboxyl group, and a functional group. There are, I think, over like 500 amino acids, but really we as humans only need to be concerned about 20 of them, right? Some of them we need to get from our diet, but other ones our body can take in other substances and produce them, right? And so, there's even with 20 different amino acids, that opens us up for thousands and thousands and of different combinations that we can have here, right? So, whoops, I'm sorry, I think I went the wrong way here. So, here is your guide to these 20 common amino acids, right? So you can see maybe some of these sound familiar here: alanine, glycine, cysteine, threonine, asparagine, arginine. There's some of these: aspartic acid, glutamic acid. When you take biology next year, you will learn a little bit more about some of these. But you can see here they give you, some info about these. These essential ones here are ones that you have to have from your diet. So when we eat things that contain protein, we need that protein because we need to take in those amino acids, right? And our bodies are able to break down those long protein chains and get these individual amino acids out of there. These other ones that are called non-essential here, those are ones that your body can actually synthesize on their own, right? Taking in different nutrients and things like that, your body is able to produce those for then further use. So some examples of protein that we're kind of familiar with, one of which is insulin. That helps your body regulate the level of sugar in the blood. It contains only 51 amino acids, which is actually pretty small for proteins. Another one is hemoglobin, which is in our blood, that carries oxygen, and it's very, very large. It contains four long chains. You can see it here. It's kind of, that is a 3D representation of what hemoglobin looks like. And it contains hundreds of amino acids. And people who have sickle cell disease have hemoglobin that is shaped differently, right? And that causes their blood cells to behave differently. And the fact here is a person with sickle cell anemia has just one amino acid different out of hundreds. So it's pretty crazy that like one thing can cause such a big problem for some people. So our question for this video is, why does an egg that has been boiled for too long have a green colored yolk when I cut the egg here, right? So I'm sure you've all had a boiled egg, maybe, hopefully at some point. Let it cook a little too long, and when you open it, it's got this kind of nasty green tint to it. So I want you to answer that question for me, and then we'll discuss that. Hopefully, you were able to answer that, and that is because these proteins contain amino acids in a three-dimensional shape that involve twisting and folding. Those chains are held together by weaker bonds, though, right? They're weak interactions that hold them together. And so, as we add heat to these things, or as we, shake them or stir them or do whatever to them, what we're doing is we're affecting those weak bonds, and we're doing something called denaturing them, right? We're denaturing those proteins. And so that is what happens to many of our foods that contain protein when they are cooked. Is we are taking those proteins and we're changing the nature of them irreversibly, right? We can't get that back, and that is what causes meat to cook, or chicken to cook, or the yolk inside our eggs to cook. Right, we're denaturing those proteins and changing how they behave and how they're shaped, and then it makes it safe for us for consumption as well, because it helps to get rid of harmful bacteria in there. Right, so um, again, you can see the difference here in our proteins in our egg versus what they look like here. They're a little more structured, with these the yellow lines here being these intermediate bonds, and then here in this cooked denatured egg, you can see that those have been broken up, and we just have this kind of blah of those denatured proteins in there. And so that is the difference between that. Okay, so those are proteins. Keep this in mind as you're looking at your nutritional analysis assignment, and our next video will be about carbohydrates and sugars.